Yeah. I mean, you have a background in centralized finance. You worked in a bank. I worked in a bank. And, maybe we just talk about this right now. I mean, I got a text message from NatWest last week that said, to protect you and your money, we're going to restrict you from being allowed credit and debit payments to Binance. And I thought, well, that's very nice of you. You've never sent me a text like that in the past. And that was an interesting reaction to a centralized financial institution to this world of DeFi. What do you see the banks doing? I'm sure you still know lots of people inside the banking world. Do you see them as just part of the innovator's dilemma? This is something that always happens in disruption. Do you think they're going to hold on much longer because they're kind of ingrained in the whole government and financial system? Do you look at them as the bad guy, the good guy, or is this just a process?
There's a lot at stake.
A lot.
A lot at stake.
Yeah.
I don't think NatWest, having worked there in the past, they're not brave enough to make this decision. What they're terrified of is the regulators coming after them. They're not thinking yet of Binance as a competitor. We need to stop them. So I don't think that's happening. I think what is happening is the regulators are far behind. We know they want to regulate, but we don't know how. And nobody wants retroactive fines. All the banks are fed up with that because they've been paying fines since 2008, and that hasn't stopped. So they're terrified. The regulators are terrified because there is a lot at stake, because suddenly there is a decentralized financial system that is probably broader than finance alone. It's the value of money, the value, it's the internet of value, and they don't know what to do. How on earth do you regulate it when you have things like DAOs and decentralized exchanges that don't exist? What do you do? All you can regulate is your on-ramps and off-ramps. So they need to figure that out fast. And the central bank digital currencies is their answer to this, because then you know what connects with what. Right now, if not, it's too difficult for them. So everybody's scared. The regulators know where the world is going, I believe. I don't think they're stupid, and I don't think they're going to stop it. I think they just want to slow it down so they get a chance. Because what are governments actually interested in? They're interested in taxes. And that's even what KYC AML is about too. It's really just tax collection. A smaller black market economy, bigger tax collection. And having just gone through this period of excessive government spending over the pandemic and beforehand for the last decade and a bit, they need to raise taxes. So they just want it within their web. They don't want to lose the power of currency themselves, which is what the central bank digital currency is doing, is trying to stop them losing currency, but they're probably going to have to share it, and they're going to have to share power. And this world is going to evolve outside of their sphere of influence, and there's not a lot they can do about it. So I think there is the dilemma is everybody knows they're being disrupted, including the BIS, the IMF, the ECB, all of the central banks, all of the main governments. They're not stupid, and they don't really know what to do. There is a sense of arrogance, which all of us in the crypto markets sees as their sign of weakness. Is the arrogance, is the non-acceptance of what is really going on, and that usually means they'll probably move too late, because they're still trying to regulate, the simple things like exchanges. Meanwhile, DeFi's exploded, and then they get onto DeFi in 4 years' time, and NFTs are now the biggest thing in the world. There's no way they can deal with this pace of innovation. The sheer number of people at an entrepreneurial level that are involved in this is like nothing I've ever seen before. It's more than I saw with the internet. It's huge. Now, to go back to the question about, okay, what are my colleagues in the investment banking world? Well, that's entirely different. The investment banks smell money, and they want to control the flow of it. Not in terms of centralizing money, but there's money to be made from their customers who want access to it. So they too are scared of the regulators, but they're pushing forward faster. So Goldman has trading and derivatives in this stuff, JP Morgan, everything else. And they're all moving this way because they know it's coming. They also know in the end, and the regulators know, that everything is about to be tokenized, the entire industry, because you get T0 settlement, instantaneous settlement of any transaction for any financial instrument in the world if you tokenize it. Question is what blockchain does it go on? And the answer is It's not going to be a centralized blockchain because they can't innovate fast enough because nobody can hire enough developers. So it's going to go to the private sector. Like we saw the European Investment Bank launched a bond on Ethereum to test. So there is this world. We don't know what it's going to look like, but it's like when I was in the city back in the late 80s, we had something called the Big Bang, where investment banks and commercial banks were allowed to be the same thing again. And this is that moment. There's another Big Bang, but it's the entire architecture of the financial system that's about to happen. They all know it's coming, and they're all working on it.